Hi, everybody. I know I got my glasses on. A sister is tired, honey. It's been a long day. But if this is your first time joining me, welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 192 of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I am your host, Carla Renata, not Renato. And if this is your first time joining me, please give me a big thumbs up if you are on YouTube, some snaps and claps, and click the bell for notifications and subscribe to the channel. You never know who you're going to have here. And we have a jam packed show today because today the Critics' Choice nominations came out, the Golden Globe nominations came out, the Blacklist came out, and I had a busy week myself. So there's all of that. But yeah, so oops, sorry, clicked on the wrong thing. My bad. So, I usually start out the week saying what my week was like and what I did and how it went and yada, 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 yada. So let's get right on into it. So now I'm going to click on the Critics' Choice thing. Oh, dear. All right. So the Critics' Choice Association had two events that happened last week. One was the celebration of Black cinema and television, where we honored a plethora of people, including Ava DuVernay, Robin Thede, Danielle Brooks, Ruth Negga, Will Smith, and a plethora of other people, including my girl, Halle Berry. I happened to be sitting at Halle's table and she was absolutely lovely. And then I met and took a picture with James Samuels because I'm actually in The Harder They Fall. I did looping for that particular film. I say all the time that I'm an actress, a film critic, and a voiceover artist. So my voiceover skills were needed for The Harder They Fall, and I have a credit in that film, which is why I did not review it, and I did not interview anybody from the film because that would be a conflict of interest. The Critics' Choice also celebrated our Latino brothers and sisters with the celebration of Latino cinema, and that was really great. In addition to all of that, Film Independent, who I do a lot of work for throughout the year, honored a sister with a member lens profile. You can find it on the Film Independent site, or you can go to my social media and see it there. So that is what my week was like. Now, let's get into what happened this morning. Baby, them them critics choice. Ooh, them Critics' Choice nominations came. Oh, I forgot one other thing. I forgot. So I attended a lunch for the director of Respect, Liesl Tommy, and Jennifer Hudson. So that's us at lunch. There's a fireplace behind her. It was fabulous, and the food was really good. All right, so now back to the show. I'm so tired. I'm so silly. So the Critics' Choice nominations came out, and every year, folk be hollering and screaming and crying about what Black people didn't get as well they should. Um, but I'll start with the Golden Globes first. The Golden Globes were announced this morning by Snoop Dogg. Was that an intentional choice? I don't know. We'll have to think about that. But he announced the nominations, and it was led by The Power of the Dog on Netflix and Belfast. Those are two films that I talked about quite a bit and said that I enjoyed both of them. Anthony Anderson, Tracy Ellis Ross both got nominated for Blackish, Billy Porter for Pose, Omar Sy for Lupin Uza Aduba for In Treatment, Cynthia Erivo for Genius Aretha, and Barry Jenkins's The Underground Railroad got some love. Now, the films that were consistently honored were Tick Tick Boom, West Side Story, Licorice Pizza, Don't Look Up, Coda, King Richard, Belfast, Dune, and Cyrano. Jennifer Hudson got a nomination not for her acting in Respect, but for the song that she co-wrote with Carole King, Here I Am. Ruth Negga was honored or nominated for Passing, which I was kind of salty that my girl Tessa Thompson didn't get any acknowledgement in that, but I'll talk about that later. Anjanou Ellis got a nom for King Richard, as did Will Smith. Anthony Ramos got a nomination for In the Heights. Mahershala Ali got a nom for Swan Song. Denzel Washington got one for The Tragedy of Macbeth. And when we flip down to the Critics' Choice list, it's not much different except for these few things. Sanaya Sidney got a Best Young Actress nomination for King Richard. Rita Moreno got a nomination from the Critics' Choice for her supporting actress turned in West Side Story. Be Alive did get nominated for a Golden Globe Award. I left that off. It's a song that is written by Beyonce, and The Harder They Fall was honored with a Best Ensemble nomination. We'll be talking now. Award season has officially begun, honey. The nominations are out. So we're all going to be discussing and talking about things as they roll along. And it's going to be a very intense conversation. There were a lot of really, really stellar films this year, independent films and studio films. So it'll be interesting to see how the chips fall. Because usually, once these lists start, you start to see the same names and the same people over and over and over again. I'm really disappointed that there weren't more women that were nominated. Sean Hayter was nominated for Coda. I was really disappointed not to see more people from Coda on those lists. I was really disappointed not to see Liesl Tommy or Rebecca Hall on those lists. We'll talk about it more in depth a little later, but right now I'm going to get into a review for a film that I had an opportunity to see during the Bentonville Film Festival, and had the stellar opportunity to speak with the director and the writer and the star of the film. Is called The Novice. It will hit theaters on December 17th. It is written and directed by Lauren Hadaway, and it deals with this young college freshman who joins her university's rowing team and undertakes this obsessive physical and psychological journey to make it to the varsity boat no matter what the cost. Baby, this was like watching, if you ever saw Black Swan with Natalie Portman, it was like all that intensity and darkness and crazy pants stuff that was going on in that. Take that and put it into a rowing team, and you got The Novice. The film was beautifully shot, beautifully shot. It was very intense, and expertly acted by Isabel Furman, who was in the lead. It's only going to be in theaters, and it's produced by IFC Films, but I highly, highly, highly suggest you guys check it out, because it's a really wonderful film. Nightmare Alley, which is also coming out on December 17th, is a Fox Searchlight Pictures joint. It is written and directed by Guillermo del Toro, who is known for his horror and his thriller joints. It stars Bradley Cooper, Cate Blanchett, Toni Collette, Willem Dafoe, Rooney Mara, David Strahan. Now, it deals with an ambitious carnival person, I guess is the best way to say it, who has a talent for manipulating people with a few well-chosen words when he hooks up with this female psychiatrist who's even more dangerous than he is. Baby, shenanigans ensue. But I kind of enjoyed Nightmare Alley. It was a little long. It could have been about 30 minutes shorter. It was a little long, and it started great. And then somewhere in the middle, it got a little funky. And then by the time we got to the end, I was all in again. But, I kind of have grown to love Guillermo del Toro's work. He loves to shoot stuff with lots of color. It's very vibrant. It's very strident and very clear and crisp what he shoots and how he goes about executing his screenplay. So I kind of love that about his filmmaking. The cinematographer needs to get called out, Dan Lotson, because the cinematography is off the chain in this film. It really is. I love that the carny world kind of meets the film noir element, because I'm a huge fan of film noir films. And I love the messages about being happy with who you are. And when you pretend to be someone else, or you try to make airs that you're something more than what you are, it always comes back to bite you in your ass. So Cate Blanchett is bananas in this movie, and the chemistry between her and Bradley Cooper is off the chain. The production design, the makeup, the costume design in this film is redunculous. So check it out when you have a chance. December 17th, Nightmare Alley, written and directed by Guillermo del Toro. By Fox Searchlight Pictures. My mouth isn't working, child. It's been a long morning. I've been up for hours. So anyway, I want to get into this taped interview with Leonard Maltin. He has a book out called Starstruck, and Leonard has written about 11 or 12 books, but this is the first time he's turned the attention onto himself and his career and how it started, how it got to where it went, and how it's going. As many of you know, he was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He decided to come out with that after Alan Alda revealed that he had it. And I run into Mr. Maltin all the time, and I have said many times about how much of an influence he, Roger Ebert, and Gene Siskel were on me in terms of wanting to become a film critic and navigate and move and groove in this world. And I have to thank him, which I didn't thank him for this. I don't think I thanked him for this in the interview, but him and his daughter, Jessie Maltin, who runs his empire, Maltin on Movies, with him and just had a baby girl. So congratulations. He's now a granddad and she's now a mommy with her new husband. So congratulations on that. But Jessie was one of the first people, along with Alicia Malone from TCM, to publish me as a film critic. So I thank them for that. But having said all of that, Leonard and I had a nice little conversation. We don't talk about everything that's in his book, but we discuss a good portion of it. So take a good look and a listen to this wonderfully nostalgic and very important interview for me with the OG film critic himself, Mr. Leonard Maltin.
In Santa Barbara 2 years ago, when I interviewed Brad Pitt on stage for an evening's tribute to him, this is a series we do every year at the Santa Barbara Film Festival called the Modern Master Award. And I didn't have much of an inkling of what he would be like. Only at the very end of that award season, when he gave several speeches at the Golden Globes and elsewhere, did I discover that he had a great sense of humor, including about himself. He had a good sense of who he was and where he fits in the landscape of Hollywood, and we had a great time together. But I was a little nervous because I didn't feel I had a clear grip on that ahead of time.
Listen,
but he was a doll.
Of course he was. He's from Missouri like me, and we roll like that.
Yes, exactly. He's a well-bred Midwestern boy.
And I'm a well-bred Midwestern girl. So yep. we have that in common, even though we have never met. But I love that story. I just couldn't imagine you being starstruck by anyone. So I had to ask that question. I was like, I wonder who of all these people, because you've interviewed thousands of people. I was like, I wonder who the one person is that kind of tripped him up. And now I know.
How do you think I felt standing on East 49th Street with my crew from Entertainment Tonight, waiting to be let into Katharine Hepburn's brownstone apartment? Do you think I felt blasé or?
No, of course not. But it's like you said, you try really hard to keep it under wraps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of have to. I don't think. You have to keep that under control, because people, especially those types of people, they get that energy, they feel that energy, and some of them are flattered by it, and some of them it makes them really nervous to the point where they shut down. Yeah. So, that's a really good point that you make about that, because people you never know which side of the coin you're going to get. So you have to make sure that you can control the situation and not have the situation control you or what's going on. So that is a really good point. Speaking of which, I know that you way, way, way before Black Lives Matter was in the news and happening, you learned a lot about the African American experience in Hollywood through Lena Horne and Sidney Poitier. Could you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Well, I devote chapters to all of that in my new book, Starstruck, which is aptly named because I have been starstruck by people like that. Sidney Poitier agreed to come down to my class at USC, and which was kind of a coup. And I wanted to show one of his more provocative films, like The Defiant Ones with Tony Curtis, where a white and black prisoner are shackled together to make their escape. And I've always been impressed with that film, very dramatically potent. But he wanted something lighter. So we showed To Sir with Love. And it's the first time I think most of my students who are 20-somethings had seen that film. And it's a very likable movie.
I love that movie.
And then he's not a very anecdotal man about his films. I learned that. But at a certain point, he kind of took my question, answered it in a brief way, and then told his life story, which is an incredible story. And you could hear a pin drop. 300 students paying rapt attention to Mr. Poitier as he told his story. And then at the end of the class, he stayed and shook every hand of every student that wanted to meet him, looked him straight in the eye, gave him a moment of time. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? And then I got a call offering me the possibility of going to what was MGM, is now the Sony lot in Culver City.
Right.
Where Lena Horne was going to be shooting her introduction to That's Entertainment Part 3. And I said, absolutely. And we went to the recording stage, which has been unchanged since the 1940s, when she would do her pre-recordings for all the song numbers that she performed in those MGM musicals. Got to watch her and then interview her, during a break. And she'd reached a point in her life and career when there was no bull. She just talked straight. And she had many hurdles to clear in her younger life. And this is not a fresh anecdote, but she famously brought her father along to meet Mr. Louis B. Mayer. And he said, Mr. Mayer, I don't want my daughter playing housemaids. She can afford to have her own housemaid. I don't want her playing that on screen. And she never did. And she was taken under the wing of Hattie McDaniel, who offered to give her some sound and sage advice based on her experiences.
I love that you shared that story, because it may not be a fresh anecdote for people in the industry that are familiar with these names and their stories, but it will be a fresh anecdote for people who don't know that story, that didn't know that there was a camaraderie amongst Black women in Hollywood at that time, because there's oftentimes the ideology that it was a crab in a barrel type of mentality amongst us, that there was only, room for one at the top. So that's really nice to hear that they had a camaraderie and a kinship and a friendship. That was really cool. I want to close it out by saying this to you while I have the opportunity. I remember a few years back, there was an article that came out in Variety that featured underrepresented film critics, and I was one of them. And I said some things that were not popular within the film critic community about middle-aged white men being film critics. It was not popular. People were mad at me. People are still mad at me for saying that. And all I really said was, there's room for everybody to have a voice. If films that show up, films in theaters, if the people showing up to watch the films in theaters are comprised mostly of African-American, Latino, and Asian people, then that should be reflected in the voice of film criticism. That's all I said. And people had a nervous breakdown and was mad about it. But that day that article dropped in Variety, not Variety, the Los Angeles Times, the day that it dropped, I was at the AMC in Century City. There were 3 screenings back to back. Nobody talked to me that day except for 2 people, you and Ben Mankiewicz. And both of you applauded me for what I said. And you guys were like, it needed to be said. And you said it very eloquent. I'm getting choked up. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize.
You guys said that I said it very eloquently, and that you guys were proud of me. And I'm so happy that I have an opportunity to tell you thank you. That meant the world to me, because nobody else talked to me that day, but you and Ben Mankiewicz did.
So thank you.
Well, I'm glad I did.
I know you don't remember this, but I remember it because it was really important to me. And it made an indelible mark on me and how I proceeded moving forward. So I'm happy that I have an opportunity to say thank you. And I'm happy that you gave me a little bit of your time this morning to talk about your book, Starstruck. I can't wait for people to get a hold of it and read it.
Well, thank you so much, Carla. And that endorsement from you means a lot to me.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Please give your lovely wife, Alice, and your daughter, Jessie, and your newborn grandson a hug for me.
Granddaughter.
Granddaughter. Why did I say grandson? I think because when I see bald babies, I always think they boys. Which is my bad, but granddaughter, please give everybody a hug for me.
I will do that.
All right. Bye now, and thank you.
So long.
Listen, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. I knew he had a book coming out the minute I got an email and they said, "Do you want to interview Leonard Maltin?" I was like, hell yeah, because he gave me a platform for my voice when nobody was trying to pay attention or nobody cared. So I wanted this to be a full circle moment. And I love that when I asked him who he was starstruck by, he said it was Brad Pitt. That made me laugh out loud. But there's a longer version of this interview up on my YouTube channel that'll be up in about an hour or so. So please do yourselves a favor and check it out. He tells some really great stories and they're definitely worth listening to. So let me talk about The Lost Daughter, honey. The Lost Friggin' Daughter. The Lost Daughter is coming to Netflix on December 31st, but I think it hits theaters before that time. It's based on a book by Elena Ferrante, and it's directed and the book is adapted by Maggie Gyllenhaal. And you know, Maggie Gyllenhaal has been one of the OGs that has been out there with her pom-poms screaming very loud and proud about female filmmakers and women in front of the camera as well, the treatment of women in front of the camera and behind the camera. And I applaud her and I admire her for that tenacity and that bravery, because she was doing it at a time when it wasn't popular. It wasn't part of the pop culture, film culture zeitgeist. And she was, you know, out there saying it and doing it very unapologetically. And now look what has happened. This woman has now won a New York Film Critics Award, a New York Film Festival Award, excuse me. And now she's nominated for Critics' Choice and Golden Globes. And there's no doubt she probably will be nominated for the Oscar. The Lost Daughter stars Olivia Coleman, Dakota Johnson, Peter Sarsgaard, who is Maggie Gyllenhaal's husband. He plays Professor Hardy. Dakota plays Nina. Olivia Coleman plays Leda. And Jessie Buckley plays the younger version of Leda. It's the story of Leda's beach vacation, which takes a really dark turn when she begins to confront the troubles of her past. This film and this book is a great film that addresses all of the issues that women go through when it comes to postpartum depression. They address it from a vantage point that I've never, ever seen on a big screen before, and it needs to be seen. You know, people act like having a baby is like this big, wonderful thing, and it is wonderful, but there's a whole different emotional life that happens for women that people don't understand, especially the men in their lives. There was another film that came out earlier this year, A Mouthful of Water, with Amanda Seyfried, that deals with that same subject matter, but this one goes all the way in. It deals with that stress of taking care of young women without the care concern from the men in their lives. And it also deals with a little bit of a like undercurrent LGBTQ situation. I'm not going to say what it is because the movie hasn't come out yet and I don't want to ruin it for you. But this film is a really good watch. The book is an excellent read. If you have not read that book, it will make your top off, your top pop off. It's intelligently and expertly and exquisitely executed, and I can't say enough about it. So without further ado, hold on, I'm clicking on some stuff and it ain't happening. I want to get into the interview. So the first interview I have is with Peter Sarsgaard. I tease him about being in Missouri, and I tease him about working his wife, but he's a deep little brother, and I really enjoyed having this interview with him. So take a look and a listen to my interview with Peter Sarsgaard from The Lost Daughter. First of all, we got something in common. You went to Wash U in St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
I'm from St. Louis.
No way. I lived in Creve Coeur, Olivet, East St. Louis, and Scott Air Force
East
Base.
St. Louis is not in Missouri. You know that.
It's not. It's in Illinois. But I also lived, neither is Scott Air Force Base, but it's right on the other side of the river. So I lived on both sides of the river.
Okay, all right. You really did live in St. Louis. You lived in more cities than I did when I lived there. But let me just say this. If I had a professor that looked like you when I was in school, I would have had shenanigans to it. That's all I'm going to say. I would have had shenanigans too, straight up. There is this line. I want to ask you about this line. There's this line that you say in the course of you teaching. You say hospitality comes with holding one's attention even in crisis. And attention is the rarest, purest form of generosity. What does that mean for you?
I think that means that for there to be true connection between people, right, there needs to be focus, there needs to be attention. And attention is an energy, it's not a passive thing. Attention is something you give, attention is something you receive. And I think when you encounter it in life, whether it be with another person or it can be with a piece of art, but when these two characters encounter each other, they have each other's attention. They are conjoined in that way. And it's all up here, you know.
Okay, you're such a deep brother. That's why I like your work. That's why I like you, Peter Sarsgaard. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Marriage is hard enough with the everyday thing that comes with it, with your relationship, the relationship with the kids to both of you. But what is it like being in a situation where you're working together and you're in that respect, not as actors, but are helming the project and having to be in each other's face that way all day long and having to do sex scenes in front of your wife? I'm just saying, that's a lot going on.
That I recommend for everyone. You know, it'll really like clear the air, I guess. You know, the person that I had to think about the most with the sex stuff was not my wife, obviously. It was Jessie Buckley, my wife, and I've been together 20 years. We're as solid as could be. So like it was really a matter of like having that be a trusting, decent environment. You know, making the film, we were truly, truly fortunate people. We were shooting on an island in Greece. You know, the person that I had to think about the most with the sex stuff was not my wife, obviously. It was Jessie Buckley, my wife, and I've been together 20 years. We're as solid as could be. So like it was really a matter of like having that be a trusting, decent environment. You know, making the film, we were truly, truly fortunate people. We were shooting on an island in Greece. All of us quarantined for 14 days. You couldn't leave the island, and we hung out together for the entire process of making this movie as a family. And I'm just so thankful, deeply thankful for the experience of making it. And so, yeah, when Maggie was at work, I mean, sometimes I would frequently ride my bike around this island. It would take me about 2 hours. And I would stop at one of the places where they were filming. It was really one main road that went around it. And I'd visit for maybe 15 minutes, but I really didn't want to visit the set too much. I wanted to be like only there to work when I was working, not to be like some other artistic presence. And I mean, we share each other with each other artistically, but to have her be the sole powerful person on set. And then I would just go back and hang out with my daughters. And I got to say, I'm like, a lot of the time, I'm somebody that would rather be with my kids, you know? So we had a blast. I mean, they didn't start school till 3:00 in the afternoon, and they'd go until 10 o'clock at night because they're on Zoom. So in the morning, I would just hang out with my kids and go walk around, look at places together and play music together, do whatever we were going to do. and they go to school, and then I could ride my bike around the island. I mean, it was spectacular. It was a very, very particular thing that I don't think will happen again.
That sounds beautiful and really awesome. And closing it out, and thank you for sharing that with me. I just want to, you inhabit and engulf every character that you do with so much energy and gusto and verve. Is there one character or one role that hasn't swung your way yet that you want to do?
I would love to play a musician at some point because I play music. So I think partly because, you know, there's acting where you're talking a lot and everybody's really always thinking that that's a lot of like playing Hamlet, talk for 4 hours. Or there's the type of actor that really listens well, and watching them listen and absorb information. I think of like Steve McQueen, who's an actor who used to like walk into a room, look around, check the last number that was dialed on the phone, put it down, feel the teapot, and then you'd see him put something together and he'd leave. You'd be like, that was incredible. You know, like I would love to play someone who communicates through music, you know, just somewhere in between those things.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that. Well, that is my time, Peter, but thank you so much. I loved talking to you. This was great. And congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Like I said, Peter Sarsgaard is a deep brother. Did you see him telling that story about Steve McQueen, how detailed and intricate it was? That's why the brother works, and that's why he is one of my favorite, most fantabulous actors of all time. Now, let's talk to his wife, the director and adapted screenwriter of The Lost Daughter, Miss Maggie Gyllenhaal. I'm so excited for you. I've been a fan of yours for quite some time. And what I want to talk to you about in regards to The Lost Daughter is the score. It's so intensely beautiful, and it crescendos at the same time that the action does and comes down at the same time that the action does. So I just wanted to know how you collaborated and worked out that score.
It's interesting. That was one of the very last things that came together, which I know is not always how it works. I mean, there are people who have their composer before they start shooting and they're talking about music, you know, from the second they start. But for me, it was something I wasn't sure. It's like, I remember my DP saying to me, she's French, she's like, do not put music in the movie. You don't need music at all. You know, say, don't put it loud, put it very quiet, you know. And I was like, I know what you mean, but I want music in my movie. Like, I love music. And I came to realize that what I wanted, I don't like film score. I feel like it's a little manipulative, like, you know, bring in the, and I get manipulated by it all the time. I'm crying because, you know, or like Great British Baking Show, which I love, right? And they're like telling you like, now you need to be scared just by like putting the drums up or whatever. And I didn't want to do that to my audience, even though it works. I wanted it to be like a found album, like an album from like the 60s or something, like a jazz album or something that you found at a garage sale and you put it on and you put the needle on it and you hear the like static and it just happens to be the emotional music of the movie. And it's its own character. It vibrates against the actors as opposed to telling you what to feel.
That's exactly what it sounds like. And that's exactly what I got. I love it so, so much. I kind of want to just...
What about like also then there's like the songs, like the Roberta Flack, you know, which is that plays over that whole very important sequence. And she's like another whole character in that scene, you know?
Yes, I love that. Speaking of your DP, a lot of these scenes were shot on a beach. How difficult was that? And how did you coordinate with your DP and your sound designer to get just the right balance between the sounds coming from the water and the dialogue? Because that can be kind of tricky.
Well, that was really interesting. I mean, so there's two questions really there. Like, so Helene is a brilliant DP. I learned so much from her. One of the most important things I learned from her was the importance of prep, you know, and not just, oh, we're going to shoot this in exactly this way and shot list, but truly understanding together with our minds why we're shooting the scene and why we're shooting it in this way. What are we trying to say? Then if you have to shift on the fly, which with amazing actors, you're always going to have to do, we could like play jazz together because we knew together what the scenes were about. So the beach, look, we had no time. We had no money. We were very prepared. And we had 2 cameras sometimes on the beach, only on the beach, which was really helpful to us. Because if you notice, like, you know, we have what Leda sees, but then we also often have almost what she imagines she sees, which is in a much tighter lens, much closer. So we could shoot those at the same time. Sound design, I didn't know how impactful sound design is, that just the sound of cicadas changes a kind of idyllic Greek vacation into an oppressive one, and the ramping up of the cicadas or the waves. I found with sound design, it was similar to how I felt about music. I didn't like a digital hi-fi sound. I liked old sounds. I liked sounds that felt chorded in an analog way. I didn't know that until I started listening to them. My sound designer is amazing, an expert, Leslie Schatz. He works with Scorsese. He's like, was really great.
Well, that is my time, but I just want to say this before I dip out. You are a beast in the best sense of the word. I'm so happy to speak to you. I'm so happy you're getting the accolades that you are. I know you've been a big proponent for women in front and behind the lens, and I'm so happy you're getting your moment. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Listen, she about to have a stellar year. Ooh, my light is all messed up. Okay. She about to have a stellar year. So to close it out, I got Academy Award, Emmy winning, my girl, the queen from The Crown, Olivia Coleman, and her co-star, Dakota Johnson, baby. Check it out.
I'll time you. Okay. You look lovely. Bye.
You do
Thank
look very
you.
glamorous.
I appreciate that. I dressed up for some sisters. Yes, I did.
Ah, yay.
Yes, honey.
You look
I had to
lovely.
represent. Miss, I love both of you ladies, but Miss Olivia
Who's on your
Coleman, let me
pillow?
just
Is
say,
that a pillow or a chair? Who's next to you?
it's a chair.
Whose face is
I'm
on
in a
it?
chair.
No, but next to you.
In the fluffy
Oh,
tent.
over here,
Yeah.
that's a poster. And
Oh,
there's a sofa behind me with pillows on it.
Oh,
Ah, it's
cool.
lovely.
My
I
eyesight
was
is
like,
so
what's in
bad.
that background?
I'm trying to figure
Yeah,
out
Sorry.
who the posters of.
Sorry.
That is
We're wasting your
hilarious.
time. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, go on.
That's okay. So I'll make it quick and painless. Miss
Oh.
Olivia Coleman, let me just say, first of all, congratulations on your Gotham Award and every other award you've won in your life, because you just crush it all the time, every time.
Ah, thank you so much.
And you gave me life singing Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. I was like, get it, girl, and dancing.
Oh.
I love that so much. And the fact that you were a cougar. I was like, get
Oh,
it. But
I am
But
lovely
what
to you.
you're a lovely cougar too. All right, so ladies, I feel like these two characters are very intensely connected because they both kind of see each other and look at each other, but through each other, like they're looking through each other to each other's soul.
Yeah.
I think Maggie, I've definitely, the most recent time I've had that has been with Maggie, being really seen by somebody and really like, especially by someone that I admire so much, to have her be like, oh, you, I see you and come with me. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Olivia?
I feel, and this is so cheesy. Am I allowed to mention Ed, my husband? Is that too boring?
No, girl,
But I've
go
always-
ahead, do your thing.
I've always felt like I am allowed to be absolutely me with him. And he's always, I don't have to explain how I'm feeling, and he totally knows. And he's also knows better than me, you know, when to just, he knows when to sort of just leave it and we'll talk about it another time. And he sort of taught me that. So he sees me more than anybody else I know.
I love that.
It's cheesy,
Both of
isn't
you
it? Sorry.
I love
Nice.
that though. I love both of your answers. It was great. Both of you are doing roles that I've never really quite seen either of you do before, because you're inhabiting kind of dark, gritty, mysterious, complicated characters. What would the younger Olivia and Dakota say to a younger Lita and Nina? And I'll start with Dakota first.
I mean, my brain is.
I think that younger Dakota would say to young Nina, "You're going to be okay."
Yeah, that's nice. I'm not sure young Olivia was, I don't know, wise enough to know all that. I mean, if I was to meet so when Jesse's playing Leda, I like to think if I would say, do you want to talk about it? It's okay. Could you get any childcare? Stuff to try and help her out. And yeah, hopefully say it's okay. But I think it's only now that I'm older, I can look back and go, it's all okay.
Cool.
Sorry, that wasn't a great answer to your great question.
I thought it was great.
You know
Did
what?
you? You're
It's
so
all
nice.
good. The fact that I get to ask y'all questions and you get the answer is like a thrill for me. So trust me, it is all good in the hood. Have either of you worked with a woman at the helm before? Because this is so deliciously done. And I think it would have a different spin on it had a man been at the helm for this particular project.
And actually, interestingly, Elena Ferrante apparently said to Maggie, she didn't say, I think it was through a newspaper article or something, because she's so, secret and elusive, that she wouldn't have given the rights to a male director. And she said to Maggie, and I'm only giving you the rights if you definitely direct it. And if you get someone else to direct it, the deal's off. So she was this powerful, secret fairy godmother, who enabled Maggie and gave her the power to do it. And yes, I've worked with female directors before, and they were wonderful. One wasn't, but Maggie is extraordinary. I think because she's been an actress, and that's why she knows what we need and what how we need to feel protected, and so it was particularly special with her at the helm.
I think also it really depends on who the person is, whether they're a man or woman or whoever they are. It's depends. I just worked with 6 female directors in a row.
Wow.
And it was amazing. Sometimes not amazing. And that's just human.
I kind of love you for saying that. Y'all have been very transparent and very honest, and I appreciate you and I adore you for it. Congratulations
Thank you.
on the film. Congratulations on your performances, and it has been my pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you so
pleasure
much.
Too. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you. Bye now. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I loved talking to the whole cast and Miss Maggie Gyllenhaal, but at one point I noticed Dakota was kind of picking lint off her jacket. I'm like, "Oh, girl, you bored? Okay, we'll do better next time." And if you didn't peep that, go back and watch it, and you will see at some point when Olivia is giving her answer, Miss Thing is just picking lint. She's like, "I'm so bored. I'm like, okay." But anyway, I digressed. That is it for this edition, episode 192 of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. Again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please take the time to do so now. If you are on YouTube, click that bell for notifications and give me a big old thumbs up to let me know you was here. I'm about to go off and see Spider-Man. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So I will have some news about that when I come back next week. And we'll look at Spider-Man over the decades next week when we talk about that. Also, there will be a pre-taped for December 27th. I will not be here in real time. And I will have reviews at that time for The Tragedy of Macbeth, Scene 2, The King's Man, The Matrix Resurrections, along with interviews from some of those stars. I don't know which ones I've been confirmed for yet, but when I know, you'll know. Or I may not get confirmed for anybody. We'll find out together. Cyrano and a Journal for Jordan, plus a review of the Curvy Film Critic for 2021. I'll do a whole retrospective and look back on all the fabulous things that we've done for those who haven't been here the whole time and may have missed some stuff. So that is what's coming up on December 27th. And then I will be gone for the rest of 2021 until we come back on January 10th, 2022. So until the next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Please stay safe. We are not trying to spend another 18 months in the house, y'all. Wash your hands, wear your mask, and be very vigilant. Have a happy holiday season, and I will see you next week. Deuces.